Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 212. Hello. Let's discuss this Airbnb controversy. Bars. So I feel conflicted about this story because the latest reports at least, say that the victims here died due to carbon monoxide. And okay, let me give you guys the backstory. So in Mexico, these three people, 2 black males and 1 black woman, were vacationing together. And these are young adults. And they decided to go to Mexico to vacation. They rented out an Airbnb, as many people do, and had a great time in Mexico. And then one night they went to sleep and never woke up. And reports state that their death is due to carbon monoxide. But from what I've learned about carbon monoxide and what I knew about carbon monoxide for years now is that it's a silent killer. It's not something that you necessarily smell, or you don't feel like something in your stomach is off. You don't have a stomach ache. It's just, you just pass. Like, you just pass away. You just go to sleep, and then like it kind of puts you to sleep, and then unfortunately you just go ahead and pass on. So the reason why I find this case to be conflicting is in the report, the boyfriend of the black woman, he was saying that she called him while she was vacationing in Mexico and he was in the US, and she called him and was saying to him, out of worry, that she felt uneasy. She felt like she's been drugged. Her eyes were blurry and just her body was uneasy and tense. And the symptoms that one would feel if they're drugged is what she was feeling. And he stayed on the phone with her and was kind of just asking her questions. She ended up falling asleep. Well, he ended up falling asleep, and then she fell asleep as well. He woke up the next day and they were still on the line together. No one hung up. And he's like calling her name. He's not seeing anything. Mind you, they're on a FaceTime call. So he's not seeing anything because the phone is face down. He's calling her name. And no one is responding. Nobody. So soon after, he learns that she has died. But what makes me conflicted about it being a result of carbon monoxide poisoning is her saying that she felt uneasy and that she felt drugged. Because again, with carbon monoxide, you don't feel symptoms necessarily. I think you just pass out and die. You don't necessarily feel a stomach ache or anything of that sort. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe she did get drugged and it was just another horrible case of fentanyl. Remember a couple of episodes ago, I talked about how you had 3 separate people from New York reach out to a drug dealer to get some cocaine. And when they got the cocaine, and mind you, these are 3 separate people, 3 isolated cases. They all happen to be in New York, and they all happen to get this deal of cocaine from the same dealer. They all found dead in a couple of hours, and come to find out the cocaine was laced with fentanyl. Now, I don't know what's going on now. Like, there is this epidemic of fentanyl just surprisingly coming up in other drugs that people did not necessarily order fentanyl directly for. They ordered cocaine or heroin or whatever the case is. And then the argument one can make is, well, don't do drugs, right? Don't do drugs. Then you want to find yourself in that situation. But again, I talked about before how that is unfortunately unrealistic. People are doing drugs. Not everyone, of course, but there's a mass amount of people who are recreationally doing drugs, and not weed as it once was. People are doing hardcore drugs, and they're managing it enough so that they could still have a regular life. They could still go to work and engage in other activities. But people are doing cocaine. People are doing Molly and different uppers or downers. Like, people are doing these things, and it's just honestly the way of the world. And however you feel about that, I've come to the realization of how casual it is. Like, for the longest, I've been very just so against weed. So coming to terms that there are like professionals, not just smoking weed every now and then, but sniffing some coke, it's really mind-boggling. But I've come to the point now when I've just accepted it for what it is. Like, I think for so long it's been accepted, it's legal to drink alcohol legally at the age of, 21 at least. And that's legal. You get alcohol commercials on the TV. You get people sponsored by different alcohol brands, and there's different type of drinks that you'll get when you're out to dinner, X, Y, and Z, or a brunch. But there isn't none of that shown on like a wide scale platform, like on the media, for hardcore drugs like cocaine. I don't know. So anyway, when I think about this case, this Airbnb controversy, I think the conclusion that it's due to carbon monoxide poisoning, when instead I feel like maybe she did get drugged. Now, what would be the purpose? Like, what happened? Like, what were the steps behind that? And then the two men that she came with, they were found dead as well. So now, were they drugged as well, or are they actual cases of carbon monoxide? I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Now, this case is also interesting because you have people on Twitter criticizing the boyfriend who was on the phone with the woman, with the victim, and he is being criticized pretty harshly, in my opinion, because he fell asleep after talking to her for hours, and he fell asleep. And people are critiquing him because they're saying, oh, wow, you should really be careful who you date, because this really shows how much he didn't care about her. He could have done this, he could have done that, he could have done this. And I hate that. I hate that some people are coming to the conclusion to critique him. And it's not his, like, you're making someone really feel bad over someone else's death that he didn't have any control over. Like, nothing he could have done in the United States of America. He was many, many miles away from her. Y'all expected him to do what? Right? Like, what could he have done? Him staying on the phone for however long that he was on the phone with her was concern enough, in my opinion. And him happened to fall asleep. Like, I don't know. It's like, how can you fault someone for falling victim, quote unquote, to their natural body urge? Like, the body needs to sleep. Maybe he was on the phone with her already late at night and was on the phone with her for 3 hours and then just closed his eyes and he fell asleep. Like, I'm already on the phone with you. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it maybe not as sensitive as I could. I don't know. But I just feel like it's unfair to blame someone who probably is already blaming himself. Like, maybe he's already looking at himself as at fault here because he could have done more. You know how some people always find a way to blame themselves for something that has nothing to do with them, right? Like, oh, it's my fault that my parents got divorced. Like, no, you were 6. Your parents getting a divorce had nothing to do with you necessarily, at least, right? Like, you coming to that conclusion is just your mind playing tricks on you. It's just your mind making you believe things that aren't true and allowing you to create scenarios painting you as the villain and as the one to blame. But your parents getting a divorce has nothing to do with your 6-year-old self, right? Your 14-year-old self. No, your parents had problems prior to you ever coming into this fantasy conclusion that you've concocted. Anyway, so when I think about the people who are blaming this guy, the boyfriend here, I just feel like it's just horrible. Like, you're blaming this guy and he's already blaming himself, right? He's already going down this rabbit hole of, what if I could have done more? What if I could have stayed on the phone longer? He fell asleep. I'm tired. Y'all, I went out the other day, and it's not like I go out at night anyway, like that much. If at all, really. I really don't go out that much. But when I do, it's typically like a late dinner, or a late dinner. So I went out the other day, and the time kept getting pushed for us to hang out. Originally, we was to do brunch. Brunch ended up getting rescheduled to a late night dinner, and the time was at 8:30. And it eventually got pushed. No, first it was at 8. Then it got pushed to 8:30. And then it got pushed to 8:45, 9 o'clock. Y'all, at 8 o'clock, no, not even, I want to say 7:45, the wave of fatigue that came over me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so tired. And I was thinking, how in the world did I do this years ago when I was in college and getting dressed and getting ready, going out at 11, 12, 1 o'clock? People still saying the night is young. I'm still saying the night is young. I'm still relatively young, and I am tired, y'all. I look forward to going to sleep. What the fuck? And I think it's really because of the condition that I'm trying to navigate through. I feel like with my endo, there's this unwavering length of fatigue that I experience more than average. So there's that. And anyway, I was pushing myself to just get up and go, and I did. I'm happy that I went out, but my energy was super low. Anyway, I say this to say, being tired is more than just a natural physiological symptom that we feel in our body, right? You could have a condition, you may have some type of ailment that may contribute to your fatigue even more. And if you're already laying in bed, if you've already had a long day, whatever the case is, that may increase your fatigue levels more than you may want. So I don't know. I just kind of sympathize with him because I get it. When you're tired, ain't shit. Nothing really helps me. I feel like I haven't drunk Red Bull in a long time, since I want to say 2015. But no Red Bull in the world could get me out of that fatigue. And I think the only remedy to conquering fatigue is to go to sleep. I guess the only natural remedy. I know during the day though, maybe after you eat maybe a hearty meal and you get the itis, still I think sleep is the best option. But maybe having an espresso or some type of drink that can energize you. Honestly, water energizes me. Drinking ice cold water at that energizes me even more, especially with ice. Chew on ice. I heard you're not supposed to do that, but I do that here and there. Okay, every day. But anyway, I sympathize with this boyfriend here. I feel like it's unfair to blame him as the reason why this young woman passed. That's not his fault. There was some critique as well saying, if she didn't go out, then if she didn't go out with these guys, then this wouldn't have happened. Like, first of all, it seemed like the guys were gay that she went out with. And it seemed like there was just an understanding, like, okay, you can go out with your friends who happen to be gay friends. I don't think her boyfriend was feeling some type of way about that and was trying to like punish her for it. But, I just think ultimately something is suspicious about this death. I think there is something more, I don't know what the word, there's something a little innocuous, or I think innocuous is the actual opposite word here that I want to use, because innocuous means harmful. No, not harmful. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because that's gonna bother me right now. But I just feel like, innocuous is not the word I wanted to use, because innocuous means not harmful. So I mean harmful. There's something insidious. That's what I'm trying to say. There's something insidious about her death, in my opinion. Anyway, so let me look up. There's a quote that he said. Okay, so he said that she told him that it feels like she took Molly. And that's a reference. So Molly is a type of ecstasy drug. I never had it, but I guess, I don't know. I think Molly, so there's different type of drugs, right? There's uppers meaning drugs that make you hype, energetic, super on 10, while downers get you feeling low and just like super chill and everything's fine, man, type of thing. And so her saying, I feel like I took a Molly, maybe meaning that Molly is a downer, and that made her feel super low, super laxed, no energy, etc. So she says, I feel drugged, and I'm literally in pain. I feel like I took a Molly. And he told her, if you didn't watch your drink the whole time, you may have gotten drugged, because he feels like, so he said, Day asked if it was possible someone slipped something into her drink while she was out with Marshall and Hall, the two guys that she went to Mexico with. And then he said what he said to her, how if you didn't watch your drink the whole time, you may have gotten drugged. Her last text to him was, I wasn't complacent. They said of the text he's received at 4:47 a.m. 3 minutes later, she FaceTimes me, he says, and that's when I clearly see she's vomiting. She's been crying. I mean, her whole face was wet, crying or vomiting, or maybe she splashed water on her face. Day said the conversation continued before he dozed off for probably about 5 to 10 minutes. When he woke up, their phones were still connected. So, another thing, it's not like he slept for a good 8 hours. He slept for 5 to 10 minutes. Like, yo, am I wrong for feeling this way? I just feel like Day said the conversation continued before he dozed off. Let that nigga sleep, though. Yo, why is everything a joke to me, dog? What's wrong? Okay, but now the phone screen is pitch black, as if she put the phone down or the phone fell, but the camera side is facing the ground, he told People magazine. So I don't see anything, but I could hear something going on in the background, and I put the phone to my ear, and it sounds like her vomiting or dry heaving or both. They said he recalled telling himself everything's going to be okay, and he believed if she'd been drugged, throwing up and then sleeping it off would help. She'll go to sleep, she'll wake up. So this is what he's telling himself, and hoping that this will make things better. Unfortunately, it didn't. And she's a pretty girl, so sad. She actually looked like one of my friends, which is kind of eerie. So the next morning he checked in on her via text, asking her how she's feeling. Is everything okay? 30 to 45 minutes passes, or 30 to 45 minutes pass, and he doesn't receive anything. He thinks she's just oversleeping. Something definitely wasn't right. So anyway, he learned that she did pass, and Again, I think it's suspicious, y'all. I think something else is going on. There is an epidemic killing the lives of people who are casually taking drugs. And I don't know if we should... maybe it's an Airbnb. Like, maybe it's also that, right? Maybe, again, you know how I always say two things can be true. Maybe it's a two thing can be true type of thing. I feel like, considering how Airbnbs can be sketchy, like there can be owners of that Airbnb who may have malintent and maybe on some suspicious, crazy serial killer type of mess. Who knows? But I don't know. Does this mean Airbnb should just stop? I don't know. I do like Airbnbs. I do like just the like hometown feel of one. But I do value hotels. But I don't know, them being in Mexico, you would think if someone was really trying to kill her, then you would think that the fact that she came with two males, regardless of them being gay, seemingly, one of them I definitely think he's gay. The other one, I don't know, maybe he's bi. But you would think the killer would kind of back off, because it's not like she was this like lonely, you know, single traveler. She was with her two friends. Who knows? But I'm on the side of not blaming the boyfriend. I don't think it's fair to blame him. We should, in fact, if you really do believe that it was carbon monoxide, then we should put the blame solely on the Airbnb owner. Or if it was a drug situation, then we should figure out who was at the club that she was at, who may have slipped her a drug. You know, what could have happened? So anyway, my heart goes out to the situation. I feel sorry for the loss of these 3 lives. It's horrible, but something is going on in the waters, and I want everyone to be safe. Let's talk about, though, how white race is a superior race. It's like, I don't believe that, right? But there's this video out that's gone viral of a teacher in Austin, Texas, who was filmed unbeknownst to him while he was saying something in his class. It seems like he teaching all boys class, or in an all boys school, because his class, I only saw all boys. And the boys consist of black boys, white boys, and I think that's it. Yeah, I didn't see any Hispanic students. So he's on display here, and he's saying how he believes, well, he said that to his core, he's an ethnocentric. And let me give you guys a definition of that. Well, ethnocentric is simply someone who believes that the race that they are is the superior race. So being that he's a white man and him feeling ethnocentric, he believes that the white race is the superior race. And look, is that inherently racist? Like, I think that's a conversation bigger than just immediately writing someone off as racist. All right, where was I? I'm sorry, I had to take a quick break. Okay, ethnocentric. Ethnocentric is meaning you feel superior within your race, or you feel that your race is the superior race. And I want us to really talk about this without being quick to give the label of racist. I feel like everyone should feel superior, right? Like, that is the level of pride that one should feel with about their race, right? Like, just like how, okay, for example, I see a lot of Africans, and there's different kinds of Africans, right? There's Ghanaians, Nigerians, Cameroonians, this goes on. But anyway, there's a debate between different African groups that their jollof rice is better. And there is this staunch pride that they feel about their jollof rice. They feel like, no, my jollof rice is better, and the Nigerian does it better, the Ghanaian just does it better, and whatever the case is. That is them feeling superior about the makings of their traditional dishes, and that the way that they make the rice is better. Is that meaning that they're racist against that other group of Africans? No, it just means that they have this strong confidence within themselves, within their culture, within the way that they do things, so much so that they know without a doubt, my shit is better than yours. Now, when a white man is saying this, of course, being that we're in a sensitive time and we're immediately supposed to look at all white people as the devil and white privilege and all these things. And I agree, white privilege is real. I absolutely see that. I'm not denying that. I just feel like we should be able to have conversations like this and not be quick to give someone that label. Because again, when we give people labels, it just makes the conversation just defensive and unproductive. So this conversation just didn't go anywhere, because I feel like when he was speaking to the class of these young kids, they're not intelligent enough. And this is no shot to the kids. It's the fact that this specific grade level, they look like they're middle school, like seventh grade top. Okay, 7th grade is the highest that I would give these kids. And to have this type of rigorous this conversation really begs for a deeper level of thinking and not just a surface way to view things. And these kids, these middle schoolers, aren't there yet. I would reserve this conversation for college age students and maybe even some senior students. But you have to know your class and you have to know the grade level that you're working with and understand that they're not ready to have such an enriching conversation, not yet. And it's because there's this conditioning that they've been given throughout their years, and because of social media, because of their parents and all these things, and how they're supposed to immediately call someone a racist if they fall in this box. And I feel like even though with this woke propaganda that we're in, I think a lot of college students are victim to woke propaganda, but I still feel like with college learning, there is more of a push for critical thinking and more of a push to, at least when I was in college. Things may be different now, so who knows? I don't know the direct experience of college anymore because I'm no longer a student, but I do see a lot of recent grads, and shit's different. Shit is different. There is a lack of, what is it? Like kumbaya for different perspectives. I remember being in a college class when I was a student, when I was an undergrad, and we were talking about abortion and just different polarizing topics, and everyone had differing opinions. Everyone had their stance, and there wasn't this intensity in the room to think one way. There wasn't this intensity to have this group think, and people were encouraged to share their differing opinion. Oh, what a great time that was. Now in 2022, you have people ready to cut your throat because you disagree. Because not even you disagree, you respectfully disagree with me. Like, what? Yes, I disagree with everything. with whatever you just said. I disagree. And unfortunately, you have this time we're in now when disagreeing means you're a racist. Disagreeing means you're a sexist, you're misogynistic, you're a chauvinist, yada, yada, yada. And I just think that's not okay. So I'm not here trying to defend white people more than I feel like sometimes my rhetoric may come across as such. But if we look at the conversation of this video or within this video, you will see that it's inappropriate for the grade level that he's teaching. You can't have this type of conversation about ethnocentrism with 7th grade boys. And not to say girls would have been better, but 7th grade students in general, they're not enriched enough to have this level of conversation. And that's no shot to them. It's the fact that they're just not there cognitive wise to have this level of conversation and this stretch of thinking. They're still under the guardianship of their parents who who probably most likely influence their thinking and influence their actions. So I feel sorry for this Austin teacher, this white Austin teacher who may get fired now because you have a student who decided to record him unbeknownst to him, so with against his will essentially, and we see the teacher's face, right? Like the kids are also present in the video, of course, because the way that the video is recorded, you see the back of the teacher, but the teacher's like turning his head so you can see his profile and you can make out his face, especially if you happen to be his coworker, you will know exactly, oh, that's Mr. So-and-so. So I just feel like this is unfair. I hate that we live in a time and age in which doxing is just the norm. And doxing, in case you're not familiar, is when you identify and make public someone's personal information, such as their home address, their work address, their phone number, and you harass them to the point of no return, so much so that their employer may decide to fire them because of this harassment and because it's a bad look upon the company. Now, being that Austin, from what I've learned about Austin so far, Austin is more of that woke liberal shit. And seeing a teacher who doesn't abide by that social pressure, he may get fired. His job may be on the line here, and I just feel like that's not fair. We shouldn't, we need to get back to the time when we don't know who our teachers are voting for. We should get back to that time. We should get back to the time when we don't know what political affiliations our teachers are pledging by. I shouldn't know, students shouldn't know their teachers, if they're Republican or Democrat, whatever the case is. Students shouldn't know what logo or political mantra their teacher is abiding by. Students shouldn't know the personal lives and makings of their teachers. I remember when I was younger and when my teacher would happen to share, oh, my husband and I, we went to the fair. And it'll just be very small snippets. And that will be okay because it wasn't done on a regular. You wouldn't hear stories, personal stories of your teachers sharing with you about who they went out on a date with or their sexuality. And it's just, we've come to a point in time when we're just blurring the line. There's no line. Never mind the line being blurred. There's no line. There's niggas just going in and out, walking through whatever door, doing whatever they want to do. There's no line. There's no boundary. There's nothing separating you from this teacher in the room. You have students thinking that they are well within their right to speak to the teacher however they please. Regardless of how young your teacher may appear, your teacher is still your adult. Regardless how soon your teacher may have graduated from college, right? How recent they may have graduated from college, you're still a child and you may stay in your child's place. while the teacher is needing to stay in his or her place. But now you have teachers, you have adults afraid of students, afraid of these kids. And now, granted, some of these kids, it's the food, y'all. It's the food. Some of these kids look like adults. Excuse me. Hello? Is the mic on? Some of these kids look like adults. Some of these kids are grown as hell physically. And that's not on some pedo shit. I promise you it's not on some pedo shit. It's just on some, they're bulky. They're more developed. Like, it's kind of eerie. It's scary, actually, because you would think this child is no more than or no less than a senior student, right? A senior. But you have these grown ass kids with these fat, like, y'all, freshman kids looking grown as hell. And it's also the culture that we're in. You know, there's this push for more makeup, more false applications on yourself, whether that's false eyelashes, whether that's weaves, whether that's fake nails. You have a lot of these kids being heavily influenced by the media. So, of course, you're going to see a lot of students wearing false eyelashes. Like, why the fuck are you wearing makeup to school anyway? Like, who are you here? Like, you're here to get an education and go home. That's really it. You're here to become smarter. That's it. Like, I could have never gone to school with a set of eyelashes, with a set of fake eyelashes when I was younger. Hell, not even mascara. Like, I wasn't into makeup until, honestly, when I got to my junior year in college. And I remember when I was in college, one of my friends in particular, she was like, "Damn, you don't ever put on makeup?" Like, she would critique me. But I came from that, like, very natural upbringing. Like, my father didn't really, like, encourage or was okay with his girls wearing makeup, right? Like, his daughters wearing makeup. Like, it wasn't, and I just kind of okay, well, I just didn't wear makeup. And my mom didn't push that upon us either. She was more natural as well. And she got done up too but she's an adult. Like, she could do that. But for her young kids, it wasn't this push, oh, make sure you put your makeup on. All it was for me was make sure you put lip gloss on. You know, you don't want to have dry, crusty ass lips. So I always had some lip gloss in my bag. I love lip gloss when I was younger, so I had literally a collection of several different lip gloss applications. So I would always have a couple in my bag ready to go. Make sure your hair is done. My hair was always done, always fresh, and I smelled good. I showered every day and got dressed. I had lotion. I wasn't ashy. I didn't look dirty and run down. And though I went to a Catholic school, therefore I had uniforms, I still just looked well kept. Like, there was no excuse to have anything dirty on. Everything was well pressed, well positioned. I look good. I look well cared for, you know? These days, and like, when I was younger, I couldn't really get fake nails. Like, that wasn't not pushed upon me, but that wasn't okay for me. And I think also coming from a Christian background and upbringing, that was more of an influence for me as well, to not fall into the ways of the world, to not be conformed by the world. And the world was doing this, so I shouldn't be doing that. So whenever I saw my peers who wasn't from the same Christian upbringing, or if at all, as me, I would know, oh, they could do that, but I can't, right? So like, they could wear weaves in their hair, but I can't. They could wear false nails, but I can't, you know? So there was a separation, because if you're looking like the world, then how are you the light of the world? So I grew up like that. So now seeing students just looking grown as hell, and obviously I could tell they're kids, right? Like, they're being victimized by the media. You're a kid. Right? If that's not a giveaway, but that's a giveaway for me anyway. But they are just so influenced. Anyway, why did I bring this up? Superior race, yada yada yada. Okay, yeah. So I just think ultimately we all should feel superior within our race. Honestly, we all should feel like we are better. Like, that doesn't make me racist. Like, I think racism is more so if I'm treating you differently because of your race, then that's racism, right? Me just feeling like my race is better doesn't mean I'm racist or acting racist towards you. Like, it just means I have a sense of pride for myself. Just like how people be like, well, having black pride doesn't mean you have white hate. And I think for so long, because white pride always equal to anti-blackness or black hate, then hearing this white man say he's ethnocentric is not really, people are not really okay with that statement. But if you look past that and recognize that, no, you too could be ethnocentric. Like, you too could have this feeling for your own race, and it is what it is. I don't know. I'm just over the lazy argument that we give everyone, oh, you're a racist or you're homophobe, yada, 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 until there is concrete evidence, right? Until you have treated me poorly or rid me from opportunities because of my race, then I'll call you a racist, right? Until you call me a nigger, right? Then, okay, nigga, you racist, right? And of course, there are overt examples of racism. I don't want to deny that. But in this conversation from this video, nowhere did he say he thinks young black boys are dumb and can't achieve nothing. Like, he didn't shoot anybody down. Maybe that's not the right term, but he didn't make anyone feel, or he didn't try to make anyone feel like they're so poor and they can't accomplish anything simply because they're black. He didn't say any of that. He just says he thinks his race is better. Y'all, maybe am I missing the mark again? Am I missing it? He just thinks his race is better. I too think I think I be walking into a room sometimes and I just feel like, yeah, I'm better than half of these motherfuckers in here. Does that make me a whatever ist? Am I a whatever ist? Oh, you're just a ist. No, I'm just better than you. I'm just better than you. Ugh, child. Anyway, so I don't think he's racist. Justice for that Austin white teacher. That white teacher from Austin, Texas. Justice for that man. I hope he doesn't lose his job or his license or whatever the case is. I hope he's well. And justice for that, the victims from the Airbnb controversy. I don't know. I don't know if it's conclusive that their death is because of carbon monoxide. I think something funny is going on. There was some foul play, and that could be the result of, or that could be the cause of their death. That could be the cause of their death. So I feel like, y'all, I haven't been to church in a while. You know how I came on this podcast a couple episodes ago talking about, I'm happy to find a new church home, and it's a Haitian church and all that. And though it served me well, I feel like, I don't know, like, I'm just not interested in going every Sunday or like as frequently as I did. I think it served a purpose for that season that I was in, considering I was unemployed and just very uneasy about it all. And it provided me with the peace that I needed. But I think now, not to say that everything is hunky-dory, because obviously I vented about, I'm grateful that I have a new job or I'm working at this new campus. Not a new job, it's the same job essentially, just a new campus. But I just feel like, I don't know, like, again, I think separating from this idea of, you have to attend church service every Sunday to be a good Christian or to be in good standing with God. Not even a good Christian, just a good standing with God. I think I have to really come to terms with that and separate from that ideology, because for so long that has been my mindset, and there's just been this guilt of, oh, if I don't go to church, oh my gosh, do I not love God? Does God not? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I've every time I kind of yo-yo with this thought, and I feel like I have to go to please others. Like if I were to speak to my mom on a Sunday, she'll ask, oh, did you go to church? And it's like, I don't like to lie to people. I really don't. I always tell the truth. And I'm just like, oh, no, I didn't. And I could just hear the disappointment in her voice. And there's this time when, even though you are an adult and you live on your own, you live away from your parents, I don't know when do you finally break away from still wanting to please them? Right? Like, when do you finally break away from still wanting to have their approval and their pride in you? Like, I don't know. And I think it's so embedded in me because of my upbringing and being Haitian. In many Haitian households, this is a thing, they don't really believe in independent children. Like, and how dare you become independent, right? Independent in thought, independent in action, independent in lifestyle. How dare you become independent? Because essentially they see it as disrespectful to them. They want you under their thumb and under their rule forever. That's their view of parenting, generally amongst many Haitian parents. And this is an experience that many Haitian kids or, kids of Haitian parents experience very frequently. So I think about my relationship with church and with God, and I'm finding out that I can create it however I please, or I can create the type of relationship that is pleasing to me. And I'm just still figuring that out without having any guilt attached to it, because I'm not doing it the way that I've done it since I was younger. So I'm finding my place in that, trying to navigate with that, and I'm figuring that out. So yeah, no, I haven't been to church. I have not been to church lately. And I prayed here and there, I talked to God. I think just my relationship is different now, and it's okay. I'm finding myself to be okay with that, or trying to be okay with it, and trying to not let people's judgment affect me. It's just really hard, I think any child would want their parents' approval on anything, but I don't know, it's not that easy. I've moved to Houston in 2018. I've been here ever since, and my parents have yet to visit me. They have yet to visit me here. I remember it was 2 years ago, prior to COVID, I believe. And I mentioned maybe you could come here and we could celebrate my birthday together here in Houston. And my mom scoffed at that idea. She was like, I'm not going to Houston. Just very much not interested at all in my life here. And I just feel this I don't know. It's it's sadness, but there's also why not? Why not want to see how I've created this life for myself? Why not want to see this lifestyle that I have? Why not? But again, I've just chopped it up to it being a Haitian parent thing. Haitian parents despise their children being independent. They really do. And the only way they are in approval of you leaving their house is if you're leaving in the context of you getting married. Therefore, you must leave the house. You're living with your husband now, or you and your husband are living together away. That's the only excuse. That's the only acceptance that they would allow. But me living here in Houston and them still not seeing me, it's okay, well, I don't know. So And I've even thought to myself, oh, once I buy my house, once I finally buy my first house here in Houston, they will be more inclined to see me. And I don't know. Like, I feel like I also shouldn't even think like that. Like, why should I have to buy this material good? Not necessarily, it's not for them. Like, I want to buy a house for myself, like for my own personal goal and what I want for that. But also within that, I think about, oh, once I buy that, they will come, right? They will come and they will visit me and they'll stay in the guest house or guest room, and they'll definitely want to visit me then. But it shouldn't, like, that shouldn't fucking matter, right? Like me living in a house shouldn't be your reason to come see me. Like, what? Like, that shouldn't even matter. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting in my head about this. I'm trying not to. But I think about all these things about, like, well, I don't want to live life under anyone's expectations and anyone's command. I want to live it more at my drum and beat. And I have been, but I feel like even internally though externally I've been living life to my own terms, internally I'm still yearning for that acceptance or approval from my parents or from my sister. And whenever I don't get that, it really hurts. And it's to the point where it's like, I don't even want to fucking talk to anybody. Or y'all in particular. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone who always have a harsh critique or who can never find joy or something to be proud of me for. You know, it's always something I'm doing wrong. And I think being the youngest in my sibling pool and there's this dismissiveness that I feel whenever I speak or whenever I share an opinion or share my life goal. Is like, if it's not falling within the same expectation or goal that my parents may have for me or my sister may have for me, then I'm not doing enough and I'm not doing it right. And I'm not living my life right in accordance to how they want me to live my life. And it's ridiculous. Like, I shouldn't feel that way or that pressure at all. I shouldn't. And so I don't know. I guess I just got in my head. But yeah, that's just annoying to me. So yeah, I've just come to the conclusion that I'm just not gonna do anything that I don't want to do anymore. Like, if I don't want to go to church if I don't want to go to church on a Sunday for whatever reason, if I want to just fucking sleep in, I'm going to do that. And that's on period, right? If I just don't want to go, I'm just not going to go. I'm not just going to go because, I'm going to call my mom later and she's going to ask me, did I go to church? And I could rightfully tell her yes, because I'm not going to lie to her. And it's going to be a great moment of her feeling happy that I did something that she wanted me to do. Like, what? Like, this way of thinking is not healthy for me. It's not good for my mental health. So if I don't want to go somewhere, if I'm feeling down and out, or if I'm feeling tired, if I just want to catch up on my shows, and the weekend, we only have but so many days in a weekend. And if I want to fucking sleep in, I'm going to sleep in, right? Like, it's just, Saturday is not enough. Sunday is enough. And when you go to church on a Sunday, of course, it's a task. Like, you have to go and be present. It's not like you go for 30 minutes and you leave. No, you stay for the full 2 hours or however long Sunday service is. And then you go back home and now, boom, you only have max 7 hours until you should wrap up for the night and then begin your week. Like, that shit is, I don't like that. Like, considering how tasking working is, like, working a full-time job, though I'm grateful, is a tasking thing to do. And so I want to indulge in all the free time that I can get without feeling guilty for it, you know, and all the free time that I could get without having to take a day off for it, you know. So in my natural days off, I want to be off. I don't want to still be on because I have to go to church and I'm going to church to make my parents happy. It's like, no, I just want to fucking go. And when I do go, I'll go, right? You know, if I didn't go for the past 3 Sundays, fine. If I want to go the next Sunday, cool, I'll be there. You know, like, it shouldn't have to be this. And I'm saying this to myself. This is literally me speaking this to myself so I could feel okay with my decision. And I'll get there. I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling fine right now that I've just let that out. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. That is all for today's episode. And I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. If you liked it, leave a review, share, and subscribe. God bless.